911, where is your emergency?
My fiance fell in the water. Can you please call anybody?
Sunset on New York's Hudson River, a couple in love out on kayaks, and then that chilling emergency call.
Oh no, baby! Oh my God.
The first sign that a beautiful storybook Sunday afternoon is about to turn into the darkest of fairy tales. Because one of those lovers isn't coming home.
Can't get to him. It's very windy and the waves are coming in and I can't paddle to him. He's gonna drown.
Isn't it possible the entire premise of the case is based on something that isn't in fact true?
The case that will turn out to be as mysterious as their eerie romantic destination that day, the abandoned and decaying castle on Bannerman's Island.
Do you remember what the weather was like specifically that day?
It was a little cold, but it was, you know, it didn't look dangerous or anything.
Only two people know what really happened out on those dark waters, and tonight you're going to hear exclusively from the only one who lived to tell.
It still feels unreal.
Which part of it feels unreal?
The part that he's gone.
Was it a horrifying crime or a heartbreaking accident?
When you're out on the water, you definitely feel the current and the wind.
Did the river take his life? Or was it his soon-to-be wife, Angelika Graswald?
If this woman really killed him
By kayak.
drowning by removing a plug in the kayak, that's a pretty unique case.
Tonight, her bizarre behavior caught on tape in the interrogation room, playing hopscotch, doing yoga, her astonishing, incriminating remarks to the police.
I wanted him dead, and now he's gone. And I'm okay with it.
Why would you say something like that?
The answers we find in her native country of Latvia.
They want to be together.
And those who say this case might fall down faster than that old castle on Bannerman's Island.
There was a rush to judgment in this case, and I don't know why.
Forget everything you think you know about the case that sparked headlines around the world.
Angelika Graswald un viņa šķiet.
Woman accused of killing her fiancé while kayaking.
Kayaking.
Indicted for his murder.
Because tonight, in jail, with her bond set at $9 million, she's not getting out, so we're going in. Face to face with the woman on the river.
Did you kill Vince? Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Vargas.
And I'm David Muir. Tonight, a fiancé sits behind bars accused of murdering the man she loved while they were in kayaks. Right here tonight, the interrogation tapes and the accused herself, one-on-one with Elizabeth, answering the tough questions.
That's right, David. It's a very rare instance when someone's accused of murder and actually speaks out before the trial. Angelika Graswald and that mystery on the Hudson. We even go back there ourselves to test what prosecutors say happened. So, before that jury weighs in, make up your own minds.
The Hudson River snakes 315 miles from the peaks of the Adirondacks all the way down to New York Harbor. Just before you reach the city, though, hidden between Storm King Mountain and Breakneck Ridge, you may spy a half-forgotten place known as Bannerman's Island, a deserted island crowned by the tumble-down ruins of a castle.
I love that place, yeah.
Why do you love it so much?
The history, it's just beautiful. Have you ever been?
I have.
I just love it.
Angelika Graswald, a native of Latvia living in Poughkeepsie, New York, was drawn to the strange magic of the place, captivated by its eerie charm.
You wouldn't expect a place like that in New York, you know, with a castle. Who expects a castle here? I come from Europe. There's castles all over the place there, but here it's surreal.
Felt like a little bit of home maybe for you.
Yeah, somewhat.
Angelika worked on the island, one of the volunteers planting and gardening. She even got her fiancé, Vince Viafore, interested in the place. But mostly, Vince was interested in Angelika. She'd come to the U.S. from Latvia years earlier when she was 20 to work as a nanny. Angelika, now 35, and Vince, 46, had been together a year and a half. A cat lover and avid photographer, Angelika Instagrammed and Facebooked their love story. She and Vince also shared a love for the outdoors and kayaking, which they had done together many times.
We both loved the river. We both loved being on water.
What is it about it that's so alluring to you?
Being down to the earth, down to the water, Good for pictures, good for sunsets.
Vince's mother, Mary Ann, says Vince loved a good time.
He's the guy who was the life of the party. He had these dance moves that everybody would get around him and cheer him on.
What an awesome guy.
Why do you think the two of you clicked?
We had a lot in common.
Beautiful guys.
He was just like me, very open, friendly.
Here we go.
Risk taker, he was adventurous. He liked living on the edge.
Angelika moved in right away. Vince was studying her native language.
Здорово.
Yes, he was. Every weekend, it was a Russian session with our morning coffee.
He was serious.
Oh, yeah. He had books, dictionaries. He was asking me questions. He was annoying the hell out of me sometimes. But he was really studying it.
They gave each other nicknames.
I called him Yojik. He called me Svinka.
Svinka?
Yep. Piggy.
And what does Yoshik?
Yojik is a hedgehog because of his hair.
Angelika even took Vince home to Latvia to meet her family.
What did your parents think about Vince when they met him? And your sister?
They loved him. They said he's one of ours. He just fit in.
As soon as he walked in, he was like, "Hi, Mom." He hugged her.
Both had been married twice before, but soon Angelika and Vince were ready to take the plunge again.
We were gonna go to my country and get married on the Baltic Sea.
On the beach.
Yeah.
Why there?
Why not? Because my family wouldn't come here, and I wanted them to be there. And we also wanted to go to Batterman's Island and take pictures there with the castle in the backdrop.
For your wedding?
I love that place, yeah.
And then one Sunday afternoon in April, Vince and Angelika loaded up their kayaks. Police would later retrace their route. Roadside surveillance cameras captured Vince's white Jeep, his blue kayak strapped to the roof, a second kayak inside, as the two headed to the river.
So it was his idea to go there that day?
Well, we both wanted to go.
You both wanted to go to Bannerman's Island?
Yes.
Do you remember what the weather was like specifically that day?
It was a little cold, but it was, you know, it didn't look dangerous or anything.
Angelika brought along lingerie. She and Vince were planning a private photo shoot. But deceived by the spring sunshine, Angelika and Vince may not have realized the river, chilled by mountain snowmelt, was still glacier cold. Experts 2020 consulted say Vince and Angelika's kayaks were all wrong for the Hudson. They were more suited for a lake or a pond. And most ominous of all, as predicted on the local news, a storm was brewing.
Clouds will be increasing later this afternoon into tonight, and then showers develop before dawn.
Did you normally wear a life jacket when you would go kayaking?
No.
Normally you didn't?
No. He insisted that I wore it that day.
But he himself didn't wear a life jacket?
He didn't have one.
So Vince went out that day with no life jacket, no wetsuit, no skirt to keep the waves out of his kayak, on the water that was 48 bone-chilling degrees. After a few beers and a couple hours taking pictures on the island, the two hurry for their kayaks. The sun is low. About halfway home, Angelika says the fickle Hudson River began changing with each stroke of the paddle. From placid to perilous, waves swamp Vince's kayak. He capsizes, pitched into the deep, dark water. That time of year, killing cold. Angelika says Vince, hanging onto a sinking kayak, yells at her to call 911. While she's on the phone, she says the river is carrying him away.
But I don't see him. Oh my God.
Can you see the kayak still?
No, the kayak went underwater. Oh my God.
All right, we've got a boat in the water already heading down to you, okay?
Okay. The water is very cold. I'm afraid he... Oh my God.
What made it so serious was the time of the year.
Jeff Shack, in charge at a nearby yacht club, helped coordinate rescue efforts.
It was April, and it was cold out.
Where's the river at? Okay, where did you guys go into the river?
The boat is coming towards me right now.
Angelika's 911 call ends abruptly. Somehow, at that moment, she too capsized and went into the deadly cold water.
Where did you guys go in at? Angelika.
A rescue boat quickly plucks Angelika from the river.
What condition was she in?
She was obviously cold, wet, frantic.
But Vince had simply disappeared on that dark April night, swallowed by the river he loved.
It changes your whole world. Of course, you hope that he made it to shore or he was unconscious somewhere.
Whatever happened to Vince, police quickly begin to suspect it may not have been an accident. When we come back, Angelika volunteers to help police out with their investigation and finds herself in an awkward position. The things she says, that moment caught on tape, that could damn her in the eyes of the law.